my proposition proposal to OPEC. When y'all decouple, OPEC plus one, when y'all decouple from the petrodollar, the world greenback that's stagnating the world, when y'all decouple, you're gonna sell to every nation in their sovereign currencies. But y'all gonna accelerate all the countries that make automobiles, along with OPEC, you're gonna get incentivized tax breaks. And they're gonna transition the world into electric energy. So OPEC is gonna shift its attention to transforming the world for electric vehicles. And all of the countries that make cars, China, Japan, Mexico, South Korea, Germany, India, every country that makes electric automobiles will be incentivized with zero taxation. Zero taxation and zero imports tariffs for all of the countries that produce electric automobile for the world to consume. OPEC, you will also get zero taxation, and y'all will start to pivot the world towards clean electric energy, electric infrastructures throughout the countries, the developing countries, electric infrastructures for the countries, and electric power plants, clean renewable power plants. And y'all, OPEC, zero taxation on OPEC plus one, because peak oil is running out and we have to conserve it. We can't squander it on gasoline. So as soon as we decouple from the petrodollar, there's going to be a period that you're going to sell to the rest of the world in their sovereign currencies. But you're going to have to incentivize and transition as immediately as possible, along with the countries that build electric automobiles, to transition the world off of gasoline. And OPEC plus one, y'all will be in the number one organization that will help the world transform from gasoline to electric vehicles. And y'all need to do an expedient and get carte blanche to expand globally and retrofit the world with the electric grids of tomorrow, the electrical batteries of vehicles, and the countries unanimously, all the countries around the world that creates and produces electric vehicles, y'all will get zero taxation and zero imports, no tariffs. And all the currencies around the world will have equal purchasing power parity. And no country would get tariff or sanctioned globally. That will be outlawed. So these are the initiatives, the theology. I am the architect, and this is my proposal to be ratified globally, if agreed upon by the member states of OPEC and the countries with their auto industries. So y'all will get incentivized and funded by central banks and zero taxation. We have to accelerate pivoting to electric vehicles and the clean renewable electrical grids of tomorrow. For the global south that needs it, and the electric grids that I'm designing stand up against hurricanes and tornadoes. So countries can get hit with hurricanes and tornadoes, and you will still have electric energy because everything will be underground. The grid will be underground. So cities and countries, if you get flooded, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, y'all will still have access to electricity. So it stands up to nature, the electrical grids of tomorrow. So these are my proposals for the United Nations and the National Assembly. While Trump is stuck on stupid, the rest of the world is moving on. And the central bank of the Caribbean and South America that I'm developing, that I am proposing, the Bank of Africa, of the whole of Africa, the Bank of the whole of Asia, the Bank of the whole of the Arab lands, the Bank of Eastern Europe, the Bank of the European Union, and the United States, y'all will all get grants to transition. So in other words, y'all gonna get free money that y'all don't have to pay back. It's gonna be free. The auto industries around the world, y'all gonna be given free money and zero taxation and zero import tariffs. You can import it around the world for free. Y'all can produce the electric cars for free. Y'all can export it for free. OPEC plus one, y'all can build y'all electrical grids around the world for free. These are grant transitions that are of the national security interests of this planet to transition rapidly off of gasoline. So, OPEC plus one, you will be giving free grants to build infrastructure grids and electric plants. You don't have to pay the money back, and you get zero taxation, and you get to keep your profits. The same for the auto industries of the world. Y'all get free money to build y'all electric cars. Y'all can export it for free, zero tax and zero import tariffs. And y'all get to keep your profits when y'all sell your products to the market. This is in order to transition the world and save the planet and the environment and escalate transitioning the world off of gasoline. And so these multipolar central banks, if they meet their goals and their budgets and their productions in time, the central banks will close out the double book entry accounting and the ledger as paid in full. So the people of the nations don't get taxed for it. They can consume, they can buy vehicles, they can have cheap, affordable electric energy, and they don't have to pay taxation. So the government doesn't tax the populations for it. The central banks cancels the debt out for free. So the government is not indebted. No governments will be indebted with their central banks. But the automobile industries and OPEC plus one has to meet quotas in time. And everything will be canceled out. So nobody will pay a taxation on it. So how it will work is y'all will be giving government central bank monies to OPEC and countries that manufacture automobiles and electric batteries. And they will produce it for grants. They be giving money grants. They don't have to pay it back. They don't get taxed. And they get to sell it on the open market for fair prices in return for their laborers. For the companies, they get to recoup for their labor a fair market price, but they don't get taxed and they get free money to produce. And they get the grants, they get the money provided by the central banks. And the populations of the world, y'all don't get taxed for it. Because the central banks will cancel the debt free without not one penny of taxation on any nation and their populations. And this is how we accelerate the transition to clean renewable energies. Give me 1 second. I have something here in the paper that I want to conclude with. I apologize. I lost my reports. I'm trying to find the paperwork of my conclusion for this bill. Give me 1 second, and please pardon me for the delay. So OPEC plus one gets to build this new infrastructure for the world, and they get to keep their earnings, their profit margins, if they meet their quotas. The same for the auto industries. If y'all meet your quotas, the grant will be forgiven, and y'all can keep your margins of profits, and the grant will be settled, and y'all keep your profits without no taxation. And the central banks will then close out the grants paid in full, debt free. The double book entry will be closed. And like I said, once these accounts are paid in full, meaning the grants are fulfilled, debt free, that means that the governments and their populations don't have to pay taxation for it, for the transitioning grants. So you end up with clean renewable energies, and the populations and the countries cancels or closes the grants as fulfilled, as the grants being fulfilled. So that means the populations and the governments don't get taxed. The governments don't have to be getting taxed because the central banks will cancel the grants as fulfilled. So that means the governments and the populations of the world don't have to pay taxation, and the government is not holding debt. So the governments of the world will not be holding debt for these projects, these grants, and the populations pay zero taxation for this. But y'all end up consuming vehicles, affordable vehicles, clean, renewable energies, and you don't have to worry about the government taxing the population for it. And so these are the jobs of the multipolar economic order of the developing global south, the global east, and the west. The entire world. These are the central banks, and that will be the responsibilities of the central banks of this multipolar world order that we are phasing in order to provide these services for humanity. These are grants that are intended for global national security interests within the United Nations. This is the amendment I bring on the floor for the Assembly.